Okay, so welcome to today's lecture on silhouette and iteration. All right, uh, it's important to understand silhouette for a lot of things. It helps with readability of characters. I think we did the exercise last week where I put some iconic characters in shadow, and you guys were able to tell who they were. Right? Think about Mickey Mouse. Right? The silhouette of Mickey Mouse is super iconic. You don't need any facial features or anything like that to know that's Mickey Mouse. You see the round ears, the third circles, you know it's Mickey Mouse, right? If I put the golden arches, right, in black, you'll know that it's probably McDonald's that I'm trying to signify. So silhouette value definitely means a lot. Um, it does help with the readability of your characters, making them memorable, right? Things like that really help your characters stand out. And it's also important for us to start learning how to iterate on our design and not just making 3 random designs all the time or 10 random ones, right? If you make 10 random ones, right, the next process is you pare it down to 3, then you pare it down to 1, and then you define that one and you not define it, you refine that one until it's at the right, it's at the right spot. All right. So, another thing we're going to explore is like proportions, shape language, and pose to that communicates kind of personality. Um, Begin the early midterm project sketches using your silhouette thumbnails that you've already been doing. So if you have the ones that you did, you can start creating different ones. And for the project, you don't have to just do characters, right? Like you can do weapons, you can do vehicles, you can do assets, right? Like chests, like different types of chests. You pick a chest, you do that chest, you finish it all the way out. The idea, right, I try to tell you guys for this class is that the idea is, hey, um, let me make sure. Give me one moment. Yeah, so the idea is that while you're in this class, you go through all the gamut of design and then you take a process all the way through, right? And the more times you do that, where you take the process all the way through from inception, from idea to concept to iteration to, you know, I wouldn't call that finishing, to developing, then finishing, right? That is the mark of a good concept artist, is that you can take an idea, concept it out, refine it until you have a usable product. That's the idea for most of 3D as well too, is you take a lot of these concepts, you take a lot of these ideas that the concept artists have already fleshed out, and then you try to make it more functional yourself, right? Because sometimes what you'll realize is with concepts, people are designing not for functionality, they're designing for design's sake, right? And that's a lot of design that we do. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You're not engineers, so you're not expected to have that level of like, all right, well, if I make this thing, then it has to work the way it's supposed to work. No, it's just, these are our ideas, these are our fantasies, these are imaginations, these are things that otherwise wouldn't exist. So who are we to hold them to a standard? Who are we to hold it to a standard where it has to be engineering type, right? So you'll see that with a lot of some things are over engineered, right? Like the I would say the Transformers over engineered, the Michael Bay versions, right? The original ones, just enough engineering. The Michael Bay version, a little too much. We went a little overboard with that. So that's the main idea. So let's dive into Photoshop, and then I'll show you guys the basic process to start your iteration. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into Photoshop and create a document that's 5,000 by 5,000, 300 pixels, 300 DPIs, PPI, DPI, whatever it's called these days. And right? When we talk about silhouette theory and shape language, we're talking about the way that some of these shapes make us feel, right? When you think about the emotions that some of these shapes will invoke, like a circle feels friendly, right? It's easygoing, it's just round and around, right? Chill. When you think about a square, like think about what attributes would you put with a square, right? You would think rigid, you know, you would think hard, strong, right? And then what would you think with a triangle? Right? A triangle can be very dynamic, aggressive. It's got points everywhere. It's very sharp, right? It's angular, right? So when you see characters with angles like triangles, right? You think of them as more of evil characters. Their shape language is a little more evil. Think of Darth Vader, his mask, his shape, right? Like if I put, right, and then we can start to mix some of these shapes to create new shape languages, right? So when we think of the circle is round, jolly, fun, right? Right, it's a happy, kind of a happy character. You think this guy's not gonna do anything. This guy seems fun, right? Even Humpty Dumpty-ish, right? Right? You think of a character like this who's, kind of fun looking, right? Kind of fun. Smiley guy, right? You would think of, oh, hey, how's it going? With a square, right? You're thinking very, very, very intense. Like very, right, very militaristic. The ideas, you know, the silhouettes themselves give way to just just a little bit of that square jaw, very very strong jaw, almost like Meat Boy, and then you get the triangle, then you're getting something angular, right? Very very angry, right? Right, and you can see how just those three shapes can give you three different emotions, right? The triangle can also evoke speed, right? If I take the triangle, I turn it on its side, it can show me speed, it can give me direction, right? And the idea is all of these symbols, all of these shapes, they evoke emotions in us psychologically that we're putting into our drawings, that we're putting into our design, that we're taking and we're making them into these ideas that can penetrate into people's minds. We can go, all right, think about like Jafar. You think about Jafar. What do you think about when you think about Jafar? Evil, angry, he's angular, he's very like he's got this V kind of shape, right? You can tell a bad guy or a good guy by how they look, right? Think about just the shape language alone, right? We can take this triangle, right? We take it, we alt, drag it over here. I rotate it. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just rotate this bad boy. Boom. Now I can have somebody that looks strong, a hero almost. Right? We can turn this right? This is almost heroic. Let me just make the arms out of here. Almost just very barrel chested, right? We can let's make it an S. You know, now we've got a heroic looking character just because we rotated that. Strength, he's dynamic, right? You see this guy, oh, he's going to save me. You see the other triangle coming, oh, you better run, right? It's going to be a bad day, right? So the shape language we use even evokes emotion. And when you're designing your characters, you should have these things in mind. If you want to make a friendly looking character, you make them round, jolly, right? They're bouncy, they're fun, right? Think about Monkey D. Luffy, right? Very, when he turns to Bounce Man, when he goes to, Gear 4, Gear 5, Luffy, right? Super bouncy, super fun, super happy. Just think about even some of those designs in anime, right? It works for a reason. The moment you see that, you go, oh, he's a jolly character, smiling ear to ear, right? Think about Roronoa Zoro, angular, sharp, dynamic character, right? All of these things play into character design. All of these things play into how these characters make us feel, right? And the shape language that the whoever the artist uses helps us know what we're looking at. All right. So let me show you what the crux of your assignment for this week is, and then I'm gonna let you guys head out. All right. All right. So now let us. So what if I have this idea of, and sometimes you can do this yourself. Let me make a new one. I'm gonna actually make a different tone. Let's do something like a light beige or something like that. I like this color. And then let's do Control Plus, and I'm gonna hit B on my keyboard. Then I'm just gonna boom, and then let's lock this layer. All right, and now I'm just gonna paint. I'm gonna paint. Start laying down some paint. All right, let's say I want to create a ship. All right, I will start with this one, and then maybe go. All right, I don't know if I've showed you guys this. Let me make this bigger for a second. All right, there's two ways in Photoshop that people do things, because what I've realized is some people are very, very good at Photoshop, some people are not, and some people are still using sketch pads. So for the people who are still getting into Photoshop, for the people, I want to give you guys a quick run through on some of the brushes. For the people who are adept at this might feel a little like redundant to you, so I apologize for that. You guys probably already know a lot of this stuff, how the brushes work, how masking works, and things like that. But for the newer people, I'm going to take a quick moment to show them what you can do. So if I hit, I have my Wacom tablet in my hand. Let me go back for a moment. I got my Wacom tablet in my hand, right? If I hover over certain brushes, right, it'll tell me what they do. All right, let me hover. Right, it'll tell me what they do. And if you click on this, you can learn about that tool. So if you're new to the program, I would suggest you take some time. You go through the program, you click every button, you highlight over everything, you watch the little tutorial to see what each of the button does. I don't know if I've gone through the brush layout of Photoshop, but I guess because I assumed this was concept 2, that this was probably common knowledge, but I'm wrong. I apologize for that, and I'm not going to assume that you guys know something that you don't anymore. So with that said, with my brush selected, right, as I'm laying down these brush strokes, I might want to erase. And sometimes it's good to erase. But the idea for a lot of what concept artists, 3D artists do is, and because we're using digital, the beauty is we can do something called a non-destructive workflow, which means we're not destroying any of the brush strokes, we're not destroying any of the 3D, any of the layer stacks that we're using. What we're doing is we're iterating on it. And when you work destructively, what that means is, all right, so I paint right here, right? If I make a paint stroke right there, right? And if I want to get rid of some of these pieces, I go to my eraser, E, which is E on my keyboard, and then I use that to erase it, right? Now, all of those brush strokes are gone, right? Like I can't see that anymore. I don't have any of those brush strokes anymore because it's actually physically removed that data. That data no longer exists. I can Control Z to get back that, but I only have a certain amount of undos in Photoshop. I don't know, maybe the max is 20, 30. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the undo limit. It might be 99 at this point. I don't freaking know. But you have a certain number of undos that you can do. And after that, you lose the ability to do it. And the more you work, right? Like you might make 1,000,000 brush strokes. You don't want to rely on going back 20 if you make a mistake to go back to something. So we try to do something which is called a non-destructive workflow, which is I'm going to use what we call a mask. And I'm going to throw a mask on my image, right? Maybe when I'm closer to done or whenever I'm working on it. And what that does is it allows me to use a black and white mask to either remove or make something show up. So if I have black selected right here in my foreground color, right, it will remove, because you have to look over here. You'll look over here, you'll see this white box right here. I've added that mask, right? Imagine it as like a filter over your image that allows you to remove portions of it. So now if I, hit B on my keyboard and I start to erase, I'm still erasing with the same brush, right? The eraser, you can have a separate brush on your eraser than you can on your paintbrush, right? So now that I'm erasing, right, I can erase what I don't want using black, right? And then if I want to bring back some of that information, I can hit either X on my keyboard or just click on this little swap arrow right here, right? Now I can switch from the foreground, which is black, to the background, which is white. All right. So now with that said, I can start to bring back some of that paint that so I haven't deleted anything, right? Nothing's deleted. I can still undo if I want to, but I haven't deleted anything. I've just masked it away, right? And this is a way to work non-destructively inside of Photoshop. You're not really deleting anything. You're just kind of masking it away. And if I wanted to, I can right click on my mask right over here and I can disable the layer and it'll take me back to my original. You'll see this X mark on your mask over here, which means that it's been disabled from the stack, right? And we talked about how this Photoshop is a layer-based system. Photoshop is a layer-based system, which means what's on top will show up, right? It's like a succession, one on top of the other, one on top of the other. That's how it works, right? If I put this one under it, right, and I paint something, right? Let me paint a different color. Let me paint this, let me paint white so you guys see, right? Because it's a layer-based system, if I paint white under it, you won't see it because it's being occluded by the layer above it. But the moment I paint outside the bounds, you can see that I still have the ability to paint. I just can't see it because my layers are that way, right? And I feel like, some people might think, oh man, this is easy. This is, some people don't know, and it's important for me to put that information out there for you guys. So, all right, so let's do the quick demo right quick. It's not going to be nothing crazy. All right, I'll just continue with this. All right, so what I would do is, if I wanted to make this like my spaceship or something, that's what I'll do. I'll turn this into a spaceship. I'll turn this into some kind of spaceship or something like that. And, all right, something like this. And then maybe X, remove that piece right there. So now I've got this, essentially this base image that I can then use to iterate. All I'm going to do is grab this layer. I'm going to drag it to wherever this plus sign is. And what that does is it makes a duplicate of it. So now if I click on that layer, right, I make sure that I'm selecting this and not the mask. I've selected the image layer itself, clicked on it, shift, and I drag it over a little bit. I can make myself duplicates. Because what I want to do is I want to iterate on this specific design, right? I might do a bunch of different ones, but then when I start to pare these down, right, I can start to iterate on them, right? And you can iterate for as much as you want, 5, 10, 15, and just kind of come up with different designs. So, and another way to duplicate things, which I just kind of did there, I didn't think about it. If you hit Alt on the keyboard, you click the layer, Shift, drag, it'll also duplicate. Sorry about that. Sometimes you know how you work when you're not thinking, but you're just doing it. All right, so let's do these three. All right, I've got about 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna send you on your way. So I've got these three that I wanna iterate on. So I'll make a new layer, and then I can start using different values to introduce different things. So this white might be too white. Let's reduce it down a little bit to maybe a gray, right? And then I can use that to then start to maybe add some lights or something, right? Maybe make some sort of cockpit in here, right? Right, I can even reduce the opacity. So maybe back here it's got some engines or something, right? Some sort of thrusters, or thruster system, right? And then maybe some sort of, maybe I can even start using some of my shapes, right? Another thing is, whenever you click there, if you see an arrow next to these, which all of them except for the magnifying glass does, and maybe this adjustment brush, right? That means that there's other things nested inside of that tool. So all you have to do to activate them is you click on it and you hold it down, right? The shortcut for this tool, the move tool, is V. I use that all the time. But inside of the move tool, there's also another nested tool called the artboard. What that does is it allows you to have multiple art sheets on the same file. It's a new feature. I like the feature. It's helped me a lot in some of the work I've done, but that's not the point of this. Just showing you guys that there are nested things inside. So inside of this triangle, there's also a square, a circle, a pentagon, a triangle, a star, a line, and a custom shape, which allows you to bring in and use your own custom shapes. All right. So if I wanted to, I can then maybe go into this, maybe make myself a little circle, right? Like this, something like that. And now you can go, oh, okay, let me start. Let's continue to iterate. Let me go here. Maybe instead, let's use a square. All right. So maybe take that guy, like that. Right? Feels like I'm making the bat wing, but I'm not, I promise. Batwing is Batman's car, by the way. If anybody, I don't know, some people might not know. So I've come to realize that I should never assume what people know and don't know, right? So I'm just gonna teach like, hey, this is, because I see concept art too. I think, they know what they're, they know the, but you might not. So I'm not gonna do that to you guys anymore. That's not fair. It's not fair to everyone, and if you can't ask, that's even worse. So now I'm just grouping these together, and then I can still make some adjustments to them if I want to. And then let's see, I've got some pretty cool reference that I use sometimes to. So let's well, this is kind of cool. So maybe I turn this one into, oops, say X, and then I might just turn my opacity all the way back up, and then maybe put some new weapons on this one, right? Maybe this is now, okay, my cord keeps getting in the way of what I'm trying to do. Maybe now we turn this one into some sort of attack one, right? Right? With attack vehicles, right? You're you're going to get something very angular, right? Maybe do something like that. And then very angry, right? So I'm trying to put as many angles in here as I can. So I'm going to hit X on my keyboard. Maybe right, some sort of right. Alright, so maybe something like that. And then maybe this guy's got some sort of like, and then maybe we can do right, some of this, maybe some paneling or something, or Alright, so that's our second iteration, something a little more. And then maybe we make a defense class version, right? Defense classes almost usually the opposite or something like that. Something you want to say, all right, maybe we've got more deflector shields, right? So maybe if it's Control Shift Z, all right, maybe if it's more of a defense kind of like ship or something like that, you want something that is not so on offense, but want something with maybe some sort of so maybe it's got some extra protection or something like that, right? And this guy is more of like so since it's like a defense, it's got some shields or something in the back, right? It's gonna have some shields that it can turn on, right? That's what I would imagine these are. And then it would have decent thrust, but it wouldn't be the fastest frigate. You know, it's not doing the Kessel run in 5 parsecs. It's not going to do that. So, but it's got some capabilities, right? And then maybe the people, right? They sit right here and right here, right? So they can monitor the ongoings, and because you want them to be able to see all parts of the ship, right? No matter where you are, since it's a defense class ship, or you want them to have visibility at every angle. So you put people here, you put people here, you put people there, right? You're thinking through your design, right? You're having fun with it, right? Like the idea isn't that I'm supposed to be an engineer. The idea is that I'm thinking through some of the design, and you know, hopefully as I iterate, I find something that works, right? So I've just made 3 separate designs right here. 3 really quick ship designs. One a standard class, the other a fighter, and then the third something more of a defense class ship, right? And that's just ships. And we're using shape design to affect how they look, how the outcome of it. Now I want you guys to do something similar. Take a silhouette and then make different versions of it. Make different ideas. Weapons, vehicles, all of it is on the table. It's all on the agenda. So let's do that, and yeah, I will see you guys next class. Don't forget to post in your Brightspace accounts. Upload all of your work there too. Please, it helps making grading your stuff so much easier. And once again, if you guys have any questions for me, comments, concerns, help, you want me to sit down with you, chat, do something, play a video game, I got you. Hit me up. It's Concept Art 2, and I will see you guys Monday. All right, have a good one, guys.